All right. Let's see. Welcome, everybody. I hope you all are having a good night. Can you guys hear me okay? Yes? All right. Good to go. Okay. Let's get rolling here tonight. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight on our Wellness Edge call. We are so excited. This series has been absolutely amazing. You guys, the information that has been shared on here is incredible. I am always so excited. These are one of my favorite calls of the week. I look forward to this so very much. I feel like it's just a wealth of knowledge, and we've got amazing isogenics experts here who are sharing their knowledge. And so tonight, you guys, we are blessed by the one and only Dr. Paul Arciero. He is not only our Chief Science Officer here at Isogenics, he is also a husband, he's a father, he is a professor. He is just an all-around wizard, okay? You guys, we recently, I don't know if you found this out or not, but we launched a new product, a little thing called creatine. I don't know. I know we didn't say much about it, but yeah, we did. We said a lot about it. And guess what? One of the leaders of the creatine movement, as far as isogenics and how great this product is, was Dr. Paul. He's done some great, phenomenal videos. We're going to link those later in the slide deck here to reference those. But you guys, Dr. Paul has just been an absolute wealth of knowledge, and something that I love so much that he does so well is he takes information and things that probably can be complicated for a lot of people, and he explains it in a way that gets you excited, that gets you fired up, that gets you ready to go and share with others. And I think it's one of his greatest gifts is that he is able to transcribe information that just goes right over most of our heads and makes it something that we are really excited about and that we're interested in and that we want to learn about. So, as we get started, I want to see this chat popping. Did you guys get creatine ordered when it launched? I want to see in there. You got creatine on the way. Let's see it going. I know I can't wait to see it start arriving at your houses. It's going to be so fun. But without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Dr. Paul Arciero. Sir, the floor is yours.
It's always an amazing intro. Thank you, Ryan. So good to be here. Thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your busy lives, especially near the end of a school year. For those of you that have children, and for those of you that are maybe working in the education field, or just transitioning from the spring into the summer, it's a busy time. House cleaning, spring cleaning, as they call it. So I really appreciate you being here. So tonight is one of my favorite topics. And those of you that have heard me speak at some of the Vision Tour events, some of you that have seen me just speak in general, you know that longevity, healthy aging is, I would say, my primary interest and focus of my research and my professional career. I'm so passionate about it because we're all heading in that direction. There's no getting around it. We're all entering into an aging dimension. So that's the focus for tonight. Let's see what we can do about capturing and really embracing this concept of longevity, because it's for all of us. And I say that because we have young kids, they're in their 20s. Even even young people, young men and women that are in their 20s are thinking long term now. That used to not be the case. I know when I was growing up, when I was in my 20s, I'm like, 50 years old? Are you kidding? I'm not going to think about being 50 years old. You're old by that time. And we know that the whole dynamic of aging has changed, right? 70 is the new 50, or yeah, I think that's what they say now. But it's true. We know at younger and younger ages that we have this aspect of our lives that we need to master. We need to master this process of aging and having longevity or health span. I hope that makes sense to everybody, because this has changed. This is a cultural shift that's occurred. When you look up, just taking a little bit of an aside here, when you look up this concept of longevity, there's a couple of things that are always the basis of longevity and healthy aging. Number one is diet, eating a very nutrient dense diet. Things like with a diet of lots of phytonutrients, plant chemicals, antioxidants, adaptogens, lots of fruits and vegetables, but a diet of high nutrient density and protein. So you'll see where I'm heading with all this. The other thing is enhancing your sleep and your recovery, your ability to maintain what we call in the science field homeostasis. And homeostasis is a fancy word. I teach my students this of harmony inside of our body. When we're in harmony with our mind, our body, and our spirit, we're in homeostasis. We're in harmony. So that's another concept of healthy aging. It's managing stress better. It's sleeping better. All right. So see where I'm going with this? High nutrient density, things that help us with our homeostasis and harmony, things like sleep and stress. A third one is helping us maintain an active lifestyle. So making sure that we're engaging in movement patterns that are healthy for our body. And again, we've talked about this, and this has been an area of focus for me over the last 30 years. 3 decades in my research. There's four major types of movement, and we've covered them in this Wellness Edge. The first one is strength and resistance training, anything that we're doing where we're pushing and pulling against a force. Number two would be engaging in high intensity sprint type activity. So high intensity intervals or sprint intervals, anything that we're pushing really hard for a short period of time and then recovering and then pushing really hard and recovering. So intervals are really important for our overall health. A third movement pattern, and again, these have held the test of humankind, by the way. So these aren't just, things that have been made up over the last 30 decades, but ones that have really been brought to my attention that I've focused on. The third one is mobility, stretching, pliability, flexibility, right? We talked about that as well. So that's really important that we engage on a regular basis, that movement pattern. And then fourth would be what we mostly do when we think about exercise or movement, and that is endurance, cardiovascular aerobic exercise. So I just wanted to frame that out. And then the kind of the fourth concept of aging or longevity, sorry, not aging, but longevity, is community, building a community. All right, so I've just pretty much captured the components of a lifestyle that enhance longevity. Can anybody think of a company that's leading the way in each of those areas that I just described? Yes, I know you're thinking Isogenics, and you're exactly right. Isogenics has been at the forefront of creating strategies easily executed for longevity for the last 22 plus years. And so, are you in the right place at the right time? I mean, without a doubt. And with the launch, as Ryan just said, of this miraculous, um, longevity nutrient, I call it a longevity nutrient, this week, Isogenics is positioned to stay at the forefront of longevity. Yes, creatine is a longevity nutrient. I'll say it again. Creatine is a longevity nutrient, and we have the best in class with that. All right, so is longevity aging? Absolutely not. If you can just click that next button for me, Ryan, you'll see that longevity is not aging. No, it is not. It's the antithesis. So when we think of aging, we think of disease. We think of what I used to think about in my 20s, as people got older. If you're in your 50s, you've aged. And now when we're in our 20s, we're thinking about, hey, what can I do to live the best years of my life, those last 10 years? So longevity and aging are two completely opposite things. We want longevity of our vitality. That's what longevity is. It's our health span, not our lifespan. Lifespan is attached to aging. Health span is attached to longevity. All right, next slide. So I've outlined these things before on this next slide. Yep, longevity is your health span. So these are the concepts that we study, that we invest our time, energy, resources. We invest our resources here at Isogenics into these components. And so, we have never said this, but Isogenics, in many, many ways, is the ideal longevity company. We have the solutions to augment, facilitate, support, um, really bring to the next level our longevity lifestyle here at Isogenics. There's no denying it. And these are the five main components of having a life of longevity or vitality and healthy aging. It would be heart health, making sure that your cardiovascular system is operating properly. Your blood vessels are clean. Your blood vessels can properly dilate and distend and have elasticity. So we want elasticity in our blood vessels in terms of our cardiovascular or heart health. We want our heart pump, because your heart is a pump. We want those chambers to function properly and fill properly and contract and push what we need out properly. We want them, the blood vessels within our heart to be clean. So heart health is primary. Two would be metabolic. Metabolic health is critically important. In fact, if I were to really, emphasize one of these above all the other, our metabolic health really determines the health of all the other components of longevity. So metabolic is really the most important, but that's the one that we are familiar with when it comes to things like diabetes. Things that affect our ability to assimilate and digest and absorb nutrients in our body. That's our metabolic health. The way that our body partitions nutrients into the cells of our body is our metabolism. Flexibility, we call it, metabolic flexibility, how well our body can adapt to different challenges of food surplus and food deficiency, or nutrient surplus and nutrient deficiency. So the ability of the body to be nimble and flexible is critically important in terms of our metabolism. A third component that we sometimes observe from the outside of our fellow humans and even ourselves is our body composition, where we deposit excess body fat, where we seem to not develop muscles where we would like to have muscles, or where we, are able to develop muscles. So our body composition, how healthy our bones are. So that's all part of that musculoskeletal system, that body composition. And we talked extensively about that last week. Um, and then one that's on everybody's mind, the fourth one of this longevity, healthy aging, is the brain. We often think about the brain in terms of its cognitive abilities, the ability of us to process, the ability of us to remember, memory recall, the ability of us to learn new things, the ability of us to engage in multitasking, the ability to build concepts within our thought processes. It's called executive function. So we look at the brain in that very kind of not dogmatic way, but very objective way. But what we also need to keep in mind is that brain health is also associated with our emotional and spiritual health. So our body's ability to, think beyond discursive thoughts, for example, and really showing empathy and sympathy and emotions. That's super important for the health of our longevity, how well we can manage those emotions and thoughts that we have, not just our cognitive processing, learning, and executive function tasks. So brain health is super important. Many of us know someone close that's had a neurodegenerative disease like Alzheimer's, dementia, or Parkinson's. So brain health is so important. Or depression, or anxiety, or panic, or PTSD. So ADHD. So, the brain is complex, but we need to take care of it in our journey to longevity. And then, of course, cellular health. So how well our cells are functioning at the very most basic level of our nuclei, which is the brain inside of our cells, or the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse inside of our cells. So we have lots of different organelles, we call them, inside the cells of our body, and we need to make sure that those organelles are functioning properly. We have to make sure that those little structures inside of our cells, not just our cells themselves, but the structures inside of our cells are working properly. And so when we undergo the cleanse days, for example, that's a way to help boost our cellular health, right? We can begin to perform a little house cleaning, a little spring cleaning, appropriate for this time of year. So yeah, when we undergo those cleanse days, those nutritional fasts, we undergo autophagy and apoptosis, and we've talked about those as well in these Wellness Edge calls. So here we are. We're at this, I consider it the zenith, right? The zenith of all of this information that we've talked about up until this point. But let me just tell you this. I've simplified it, but the truth of the matter is these five components that I have on the screen right now for all of you, in terms of our longevity, our vitality, our health span, us becoming healthy as we advance in years, are the most important. There's no debate about this from a scientific standpoint. These are the essential components of us aging healthy. And when you think about what Isagenix has to offer, we accomplish this in spades, meaning we do it better than anyone. If there's a nutritional, optimal health, longevity solution, tell me what it is that's better than Isagenix, because I'm not aware of it, and I've been in the field for a long time. We master this process of longevity at a really high level. So I'm so grateful to be a part of this journey with all of you. Next slide. So where we need to start, and I don't say this lightly, I want to make sure that I speak with intention here tonight. I want to make sure that I speak with deliberateness and targeted focus for each of you. The starting point, I know we have awesome products. Isagenix has world-leading individual products that can help support those five components of longevity. However, and I've said this before, and I want you to really hear this and absorb it, and not just hear it, but listen to it and let it absorb into the cells of your body. The effectiveness, the efficacy, the ability for those individual products to do their job inside your body are only as good as the foundation from which they have to build on. That's really important, everyone. So you need to start with the 30-day system. I know there's a lot of people who lead with an individual product, whether it's collagen or Nox or phytoactives or Puriplant or NAD, recharge, or I could go on, or moringa. There's a list of lots of them that you can choose from with Isagenix. But I can tell you this: they are only as good as your foundation of your longevity health journey, and that starts with the 30-day system. So unless you're doing this 30-day system as your underlying foundation, again, I use these analogies all the time when I teach, to help beginning learners understand. If you were to build a home and you had a choice to build a home on sand with no foundation, or a weak, porous substance, that you would want to build your structure on, versus a rock solid, deep rooted cement or rock, foundation, to then which you would build your house on, that's a no-brainer. Of course, you would want the most solid, sturdy, long-lasting, bulletproof, shatterproof, storm-proof foundation from which you can rely on. And then from there, you can build what suits you in terms of your preferences. But without that solid foundation being consistent across the board for any structure, and in this case, our own bodies, those other things that you add on as your preferences or your specific goals that you want to achieve, they're not going to be as sturdy. All right, so it all starts with this. Next slide. This is the foundation of our longevity play. So as I said earlier, metabolic health is really number one. And so, I've talked a lot about this. I know Laki had mentioned it also last week. I've been doing this research for, gosh, I'm a little bit hesitant, but I don't care anymore. For 38 years, I was fortunate as one of the first researchers to test hundreds and hundreds of men and women from 18 years of age all the way up to 70, 80 years plus. That was me. I'm the scientist who was first in this, and it just was something that I was interested in. I was interested in metabolism back in the 1980s. I said, there's something unique about our human body, and it really begins within our cells. And that chemical process that begins inside of our cells is metabolism. I'm fascinated by it. I'm curious as to how the oxygen that we breathe in that gets delivered to the little tiny inner reachings of our cells, every single cell in our body, and the carbon dioxide that we produce in turn has such an amazing and potent and powerful and life living force of us. I wanted to pursue this. And so I made it my job, literally, for over a decade to test hundreds and hundreds of people in my laboratory, and I measured their metabolism. And what I showed very, very clearly, and has been cited thousands of times now by other scientists, the research that I started back in 1980, was that indeed our metabolism is unique to us. We have our own individual, unique metabolism, the way in which we take in oxygen, use it, and then create carbon dioxide in response and push it out of our body. That is our metabolism, and it happens in the furthest reaches of our cells. And what I learned first and foremost is that our metabolism is determined by the quantity of our fat-free mass, our lean body mass, our muscle mass, our bones, our vital organs, our brain, our heart, our kidney, our spleen, our GI tract, our everything within us, pancreas, so our lungs. So that fascinated me. That we each have our own individual metabolism, and it's determined by our lean body mass, of which our lean body mass, our muscle mass, sorry, our lean muscle mass is the largest producer. And we determine our metabolism through our lean body mass by as much as 80%. So just by measuring somebody's body composition, you can determine what their metabolism is. I thought that was pretty cool. And so that's been, preached around the world. So it's kind of neat that I have that contribution. And it's important. It's a really important one. And so as we venture onto this journey of longevity, all right, so here's the takeaway that I want you all to have from tonight is we need to do whatever we can at the highest level of our existence to protect our lean body mass, protect our bones, protect our vital organs, and most importantly, which includes our brain, heart, lungs, kidneys, pancreas, kidneys, GI tract, all those vital organs inside of our body, and our lean body mass. Because without our lean body mass as being the primary component of our lean body mass, our muscle mass, I should say, our muscle mass is the prime component of our lean body mass, our longevity begins to decrease. It begins to suffer. And so first and foremost, next slide, here is the relationship that you'll notice when it comes to here we go. Our metabolic health. It's our muscle mass, our fat-free mass. Our muscle mass is the largest component of our fat-free mass. And you can see that number. It's the R square, which is really on a population basis, the contribution or the relationship that exists between these two variables are metabolism, which is on the y-axis, the up and down axis. That's the RMR, our resting metabolic rate. So that's what our cells are operating on. And our fat-free mass, which is our lean body mass, our muscle mass, and vital organs. It's 81% predictability. So depending upon what somebody has as their lean body mass, that will predict what their metabolism is. And as I said at the beginning of our talk tonight, your metabolism plays the number one role in establishing your body's ability to maintain longevity and healthy aging. All right, next slide. So I hope that I made that very clear. What can we do to protect our lean body mass, our fat-free mass? Those two terms I want to tell you are basically interchangeable. There's some little tiny nuances, but nothing major. They're one and the same. So what can we do to protect our lean body mass of our body composition? the highest quality protein you can consume. And this is where I said before, is there any other company that does it even remotely closely to what we do? No, there's not. I can tell you this firsthand. I've been in this for over 40 years now. Isogenics stands alone at providing you the highest quality solution to help you safeguard against loss of your lean body mass. I mean, how cool is that? You have the highest quality protein in the world. Isogenics has the high, I mean, I think I can say that because I've tested it. You do. Isogenics has the highest quality. And I showed you some of these other supporting nutrients down here below. The hydrate with the hyaluronic acid, the repair, that's very healthy for us as well, of course. The joint support, super healthy. And I believe that one's the BCAAs. Yeah. So the BCAA plus and the repair, really, really healthy to safeguard against any loss of this lean body mass. Those are things that you should definitely have. And then, of course, I was saving it for the end, but I'll just plug it in here. Now that we have creatine, of course, there's no question that what we're doing in terms of safeguarding and helping promote the number one component and feature characteristic of healthy aging, longevity, our body composition, which supports our metabolism by more than 81%. Isogenics has the best solution in the world. Next slide. And really, the way I can say this is because we have the data to support this. If you can just go ahead and click, Ryan, these three figures here, you've all seen them before, but in as little as 12 weeks, the data speaks for itself. Just click it one more time because I just want to show what the lean, yeah. So the one on the third column there, that lean body mass up by 9%. You know, there was just a study published. I had a colleague of mine, actually the creator of the Zone Diet. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Zone Diet. Barry Sears, he's a personal friend of mine. He and I collaborate and talk almost weekly. He sent me an article that just showed that they had a 3%, and he was, really so super proud. I complimented him. I said, "Oh, that's wonderful." And it is. We've had other studies. In fact, many of you know the data where I compared it to the Mediterranean, where the Mediterranean showed a 3% increase in the proportion of lean body mass. People, all of you that are on this, how many? Well, it doesn't matter. You've got the benefit now of learning this and understanding it and appreciating it and shouting it from the rooftops. We have shown with Isogenics, with the 30-day system alone, a 9%, three times what other scientists that are leading, that have proven scientifically that theirs works at a very, very high level. We have three times the increase in the proportion of lean body mass. Three times. So I just want you to know what you have is so unique, so special, so differentiating, so spectacular, so far and above, out front, leading in the world of a support of longevity, because there's no greater component of longevity than your metabolism that's supported by your lean body mass, your body composition, than this right here. This is the slide that you would use. So if you're talking to somebody, you need to help somebody who needs to navigate their journey into healthy aging and longevity better, you have the solution, you have the data, we have it. We don't need to borrow it, right? I talk a lot about this, that many companies operate on a borrowed science principle, meaning they take research from what other scientists have done on components or ingredients of their products and promote it almost as their own. They say, hey, this ingredient that we have in our product has been shown to do this. How cool is that? Listen, companies make a living on that. I could go into many examples of this, but just about every company is using borrowed science. Isogenics doesn't have to. You have the data. You have the original investigative human clinical trial, peer-reviewed, published data. It's right here in front of you that nobody else has. In fact, the others are using it as borrowed science. We have it. When you consume the highest quality protein, you consume the adaptogens and the phytonutrients, the antioxidants on a regular basis in the 30-day system, you achieve a component of longevity that no one else can compare to. All right, next slide. Let me just pay attention to time here. Good. All right. So this, people often say, um, well, what do we have for long term? Well, here's the long term. Again, we have the scientific data to support this. When we compare it to the heart healthy, we see that we can maintain the wonderful body composition improvements that achieved in the 12 weeks. In the next slide, this was body weight. You can see heart healthy increases body weight. We maintain it. Here we can see on the left lean body mass, which is, of course, what's most important. Isogenics, after a full year, begins to increase that level of the lean body mass. How amazing is that? And then the fat mass, especially that which is in the belly, continues to decline. So there's no stronger data, there's no more compelling, there's no more objective, high quality, high impact scientific support for isogenics for longevity, for that's what we're talking about, than this data right here. Next slide. Yeah, this is so cool. I know I get so fired up. I want you all to get fired up because my hope is that you all begin to speak with the same passion, energy, excitement, novelty. Novelty. I did this study a decade ago, and I'm just as excited to talk about it tonight with all of you as I did when I first saw the results. I want you all to have this same level of excitement, this same level of passion, this same level of burn, right? That burn. And I think that's a really important word. It's one thing having a belief, it's one thing having a confidence, it's one thing, showing up, it's one thing speaking, it's one thing when you have the burn in life. The burn is the fire, the unique factor that somebody brings to your conversation. You all need to have the burn. You got that? You got to have the burn. I want you to have the burn. This was the 8-week study that we did. And look at this, a 6% increase in lean body mass. So we showed that even as little as 8 weeks, we can double what all of the other scientists are showing, as their final result. We showed it in 8 weeks, a doubling of what they showed. So where 3% is good, a 6% is a doubling of that lean body mass. Gosh, this is longevity, people. I don't know if you came here thinking it was going to be some pie in the sky, made up, far, out there, abstract solution I was going to give you to longevity. You want the answer to longevity? Bam, right here. Here's the burn that you all need to bring to the table with everybody that you speak to, because there's no more important feature, characteristic, landmark, post in the ground component of longevity than your lean body mass, because it determines your metabolism, your brain health, your cellular health, your heart health. It is everything. And you have it in spades, as I said before. Next slide, please. And here again, just to emphasize this, that along with the amazing increase in the lean body mass, which is priority number one, even more so than this, when you can maintain that lean body mass, you've won the longevity game. We had the added bonus, the added side effect that we also lost twice as much visceral fat as the leading, diets that are available. This is the heart healthy there on the left, 16%. When I saw that data, by the way, I saw that first when my research team came to me. They do this sometimes to me. I have a large research team, and they said, "Hey, Dr. Paul, we got some exciting news. The heart healthy Mediterranean diet lost 16% of their visceral fat." I was like, that's incredible. I'll never forget it. I remember we were all just, laughing and smiling. We thought, that's amazing. And then they knew what was coming. I said, what about the isogenics, protein pacing nutritional fasting group? And they all looked at each other and they said, well, I don't know if you're going to really want to see this data, Dr. Paul. And I said, no, I think I do. I'm ready for it. And they came out and they showed me 33%. So a doubling. Again, in terms of metabolic health, brain health, we talk a lot about type 3 diabetes. That's the connection of our metabolism gone awry and haywire on us. We have insulin resistance, we have type 2 diabetes, we have glucose intolerance, we have all those things with our nutrient partitioning that we don't want. We have metabolic inflexibility. That's metabolic dysfunction. That leads to neurodegenerative decline. That's why they call it type 3 diabetes, because you can have a change in your body composition, excess body fat in your belly. You can have a change in your metabolic health. You could have insulin resistance, glucose intolerance, and metabolic inflexibility. And those things all go back into your brain and damage your brain. They make your brain have, poor functioning. We see a 33% improvement in that primary measure of your metabolic health. Your waist health, the fat that we accumulate around our midsection, when we can decrease that by 33%, you've made a massive improvement in your brain health for your longevity journey. So, wow, this is so cool. I don't know. I get so fired up. I mean, this data is old for me. It's years old. In some cases, it's more than a decade old. And every time I present it, every time I report on it, every time I do an interview with a magazine, a newspaper, a radio station, a podcast, I speak with this level of enthusiasm, this level of burn that I just can't put out because why would I? I mean, there's nothing like it. We have something that's so unique. You just gotta burn with it. You gotta burn with it, people. Next slide. All right, so here's the metabolic health. So we talked about the body composition, and here's the metabolic, the glucose and insulin levels. There's nothing been like this ever reported. I mean, this is just incredible. I share this with medical facilities and medical doctors and healthcare providers on a regular basis, and every time I show this, they just look astounded, literally, like, holy cow. This is so unique. You got to talk with Byrne when you have this kind of data. But yeah, this data speaks for itself. Next slide. So massive improvement in metabolic health. That's a primary component of our longevity play. So what can we do to support our metabolic health? Well, if you haven't taken a picture of this slide, you need to right now, or screenshot it. The moringa, fantastic for our metabolic health. The collagen elixir, you want to have massive improvement in your cellular health at the skin level. Collagen elixir. You need to have the cleanse for life. You need to have the ionics. You need to have the recharge NAD, the adaptogen elixir for the cells of our body. I put in e-shots because it's so rich in the phytonutrients and some adaptogens. The isoflush, of course, the accelerator and the snacks. That's going to help you at that cellular level as you are going through that autophagy and apoptosis. So yeah, this slide is awesome. You need to rock on this one. All right, next slide, please. So here's diving a little bit deeper. I wanted to make the transition now from the body composition and the metabolic into the cellular. Look at here, people. Cellular is one of the 5 components of longevity. And I want to just break this down for you. When it comes to our cellular health, what we're really talking about are those things that are inside of our cells that we don't want there. And so think about that just from a logical standpoint. What's trapping us in our bodies right now to really live our best life? Well, it really happens inside the nuclei. It happens inside the mitochondria. It happens inside the ribosomes that are helping produce the protein inside of our body. It's helping, the leukocytes. It's helping, the white blood cells. It's all of those things that are protecting our immune system. Our hormonal system, our cellular processes in general, and toxins are that which is getting in the way of inhibiting and damaging and thwarting our best, longevity journey. And so what we need to do is we need to do things at a cellular level to help support that. And the 30-day reset does it better than anything. How do I know this? Because I'm the scientist who tested it and proved that it does. So this slide alone, I know I've shown this slide a lot, and if you're not using this in your sales pitch to help people, in a good way, I'm saying a sales pitch to help people improve their longevity play, you need to use it. You need to burn with fire with this slide because there's nothing better than this slide to capture cellular health improvement. There's nothing better. I'm telling you right now. Other companies are using it as borrowed science. Other scientists are using it as borrowed science. Why the heck wouldn't you want to use it as firsthand? You got it in your back pocket. You got this data because it's yours. This is Isagenix data. It's peer-reviewed human clinical trial data published in leading journals. Use it. burn with it. I mean, just, go to it, and help people realize that one of the components of longevity is your cellular health. We have the solution to bring your cellular health to a whole nother level of health and optimization. Look at this, a 33% increase in the releasing of the toxins. And where else did we see that 33%? Well, I'll tell you, and I know many of you know it. It was in the visceral fat, which is where most toxins are stored because toxins love to reside and live and pay rent, and squat in our visceral fat because it's the deepest reaches of our body. It's kind of tucked away, and I showed you that slide last week or the week before, where you have your subcutaneous fat on the outside of your skin, you have your abdominal fat, the next layer in, and then what's the third layer? For those of you that were paying attention, I know you know, it's the visceral fat. It's the fat that's wrapped, deep, deep inside of our bodies that tells the toxins to come on in. Actually, they're staying rent-free, believe it or not, toxins. So yes, you need to do something to get them out because it's hard. Once they're in there, man, they lock in. They lock in. They don't want to go anywhere. It's free rent. They don't have to pay. Once they're in, they're locked in with that fat. And look at this, 33% release. Amazing, amazing data, people. How many of you are on here absorbing this? 126 of you have the highest level wellness edge yet to this date, I think. In my personal humble view, this is it. This is it, people. This is capturing it. Look at 25% less damage. We actually measured cell damage by a marker in the blood that was representative of cellular damage, a 25% reduction. That's amazing. And a 5% greater increase in the defense that was, capturing these things. All right, next slide, please. All right, so what's the solution for that metabolic and cellular health? Well, I know I'm showing you some heart health, and some of the ones that I had in the previous slide were also for that heart component. But making this transition into the metabolic health are going to be your smart mix, your NOx, your heart booster, and your cytoactives. Cytoactives is great for the heart, but it's also great for the cells of the body. So you want to advance the level of cellular health. Cytoactives, obviously, cyto being cells, is going to help you kick it up. NAD is definitely in there for the metabolic, but I like to put it in the cellular one that I had on the earlier slide. So I usually like to use the NAD recharge for the focused on that cellular component. And then the ISA omega for your heart health as well. Okay, awesome. Let's dive into the heart health. Let's see some of the benefits that we have. Next slide. So here you have it. Here's the slide. I just flip-flopped these slides by accident. I wanted to show you this one first and then show you the solutions that Exogenics has, but just know that it's cytoactives, it's NOx, it's ISA omega, and then whatever else I had on that previous slide. All right, let's stay focused. So what else do we have in terms of heart health and peer-reviewed high-level data? Again, incredible. I mean, I look at this data. I'm the scientist who, with my team who was able to demonstrate this in over in hundreds of people now, a 9% reduction in blood pressure. That's crazy talk when you think about it, because there was no exercise. This was diet alone. It was just the quality of the nutrients that they were consuming. A 12% reduction in their stiffness and a 14% increase in the elasticity. If you go back to that first slide that I showed you with the longevity and the heart health, I told you one of the classic features of a really healthy heart system, cardiovascular system, is the elasticity. 14% increase. All right, next slide. All right, so we'll finish up with the brain health solutions, and you have them right here in front of you. There's, again, second to none, nootropic, the adaptogen, the creatine. I mean, you got to be on the creatine, people. Highest quality, 99.9% purity. I mean, there's nothing more pure than this creatine that we have with the Isogenics. It is of the highest quality. The e-shots, for those of you like a little caffeine boost, it's not for everybody, but for those of you that do, the sleep support. I mentioned to you, if you go and do your own Google search on longevity, one of the things that's going to pop up is helping people sleep and recover and de-stress. We got the solution that nobody else has. XM Plus, we also have the hydrate immune support, which is just absolutely phenomenal. You can take the creatine on an empty stomach, but I would take it with something, Bonnie. So I'm just reading some of the comments as they pop up. So yes, you can take creatine on an empty stomach, but it actually gets absorbed better when you have some really high quality protein, some high quality carbohydrates. It just likes that absorption carrier. So creatine likes to have a taxi cab or an Uber. Forget taxi cab. No one takes taxis anymore, but an Uber driver driving it into your cells. So yeah, get into an Uber, which is an isopro, a tri-release, or an isoline for sure. All right, next slide. Yeah, put it in the shake. That's awesome. All right. So, what is contributing to some of these benefits in the longevity play? Well, it's definitely a reduction in the simple carbs. I mean, this again is taken directly from my research studies. We demonstrate when you go on the isogenic system of products. I know sometimes people are like, "Oh, isogenics got too much sugar." No, it doesn't. It does not. Listen, put that out of your mind. It absolutely does not. There's no evidence to support. We have never shown that. It's never been the case. So there's definitely not high sugar. You're in good hands here. You don't want to go to sucralose or sugar alcohols or some other alternative sweetener. We've got plenty of stevia in there. You don't want to put more in. It is not high sugar. You are in the sweet spot of having optimal. In fact, our data shows that when you go on isogenics, even with other supplemental support products that I've been showing you on the screen, you're still way below. You're going to plummet people's sugar intake. So you're in good hands. Next slide. All right, so this is the gut microbiome because this is kind of also bringing this all together, with that longevity play. And I know you've seen this before, but again, a 25% improvement above the heart healthy Mediterranean. Mediterranean is a massive boost to your gut health. I mean, that's the purple. I don't know if that's purple, magenta. I think somebody said it was the color. So, I mean, if you look at 4 and 8 weeks when we measured the gut microbiome, the heart healthy Mediterranean, that's the purple magenta boxes on the lower level there, improved by like 40%. We did an extra, Isogenics had an extra 25% on top of that. That's the green, teal color. People, it's off the charts, unbelievable, published in one of the leading science journals in the world, Nature Communications. Next slide. And this was a case study, and you can see the results are even more magnificent. And we followed this guy for 2 years now, and his microbiome is even higher than it was at the end of 1 year. That's the end of 1 year, 52, and it's up by 50%. His diversity of his gut, 50%. That's insane on just a healthy diet alone, following the 30-day system. And at the 2 year, we have the 2 year data, and it's even more impressive. All right, next slide. All right, so to finish up, it would be a little bit neglectful if I didn't incorporate movement and exercise, but we've talked about it extensively in these wellness edges. We had the protein pacing, nutritional fasting, and then we also introduced resistance, interval stretching, and endurance. Next slide. So that's really important. But I just want to emphasize that because what we have in terms of the addition to the isogenic system of movement, healthy movement, makes things almost, I mean, unbelievable, literally unbelievable. This study took two groups of people. I know many of you that I presented this to before. They did identical exercise. There was no difference in the movement that they did. They all did this resistance interval stretching and endurance routine. And these were already really fit people. So there wasn't a lot of room for improvement. The only difference between the groups was one group was following a normal, healthy diet with normal recommended um, supplements, nutrition supplements to support an active lifestyle. And then the other group, the second group, was using the isogenics nutritionals. And look at the data. They had 2 times more improvement in many variables and 5 times less stiffness of their cardiovascular health, the women. Men, same thing. Next slide. You can see what benefits the men underwent. Same thing. Men had miraculous, again, just incredible. And we were able to say, based on this study that Isogenics has, that I don't think is talked about enough, we were able to say convincingly in the research study conclusions that the quality of your diet alone makes significant health improvement and physical performance improvement, with all else being equal, sleep being equal, exercise being equal. That's profound. That is profound. So Isogenics has something, again, that no one else has. Next slide. So you've seen these before. These are just what we pulled together in terms of how you can help support your strength training routine. And you can see some of the nutritionals that you can take with Isogenics to optimize. And this is what we used in some of our research, in the research study that we did, many of these products. All right, so the next slide shows the interval because that's such an important one, the sprints. So these are the products that you would take before the sprint routine, during the sprint routine, and then after the sprint routine. So if you haven't seen this one before, take a screenshot of this. And then the next one is the flexibility, mobility, pliability, and stretching routine. So before, this is what you would take. During, that's what we would recommend, and then after, what we would recommend. So take a screenshot of this. And then the final one is the endurance. So for your endurance, aerobic, cardiovascular routine, those are the nutritionals you would take before, during, and after. So super high value of content and high level scientific support for all of these things. So let's transition into the grand slam here of the night for longevity. It's the creatine. I can't stress this enough. I know Lockie talked on it last night, or not last night, Tuesday night, did a wonderful job. Just so that you all know, I've been studying scientifically in human peer-reviewed clinical trial research studies since 1998, creatine. So I'm kind of an early adopter as a scientist. I was one of the first scientists to test creatine in humans back in the 90s. And what I showed very convincingly that it has a significant boost to your metabolism. It has a significant boost to your lean body mass. It has a significant boost to your metabolic health. And performance, your strength. So super important. So it helps with athletic performance. It absolutely helps with longevity, and it absolutely helps with cognitive function. All of those things that we addressed at the beginning of the talk night tonight on this Wellness Edge. Yeah, I see that. Many people are asking where it's sourced from. Here's the thing. There's only a few locations around the world that source it at a level of purity that we would consider to be of the highest level. And so I want you to all know that we've done our due diligence. Isogenics has done their due diligence, and we have sourced it from one of those sources of the highest quality of purity. And we have the quality control data to support. I looked at it again today, and it was very, very impressive in terms of how clean and how pure and how absent of impurities or toxins or harmful substances that you don't want in our product. Our creatine is. It's of the highest quality and of the highest sourcing that we can obtain. And so, yeah, you all can rest assured that it's of the highest quality on the planet, and equivalent to what has been considered the industry standard up until this time. Next slide. So starting next week on Tuesday, our friend and coach Lockie will be diving into this mind muscle challenge, 30 challenge. So for 30 days, he'll be taking you on a wonderful mind and muscle, body and brain 30-day challenge. So make sure you take a picture of that whatever you call it thing. Um, I'm drawing a blank, but you know what it
The
is, the
QR
thing on
code.
the left. The QR code. Thank you, Ryan. And then lastly, I'm done after this next slide, I believe. Yes. I don't know if I was supposed to be doing this or you are, Ryan, so you do it.
You're doing a fabulous job. You did, yeah, I'm just gonna let you keep driving. You're doing such a great job. And
All right.
you
Well,
filmed these videos.
you get me, I guess. I don't know, whoever that guy is. So yeah, I've made some, I think, hopefully really powerful, impactful videos on the creatine. And again, we're talking about longevity and what it is that we can do to support longevity at the highest level. And so these videos, again, are based on the scientific data that I've published and presented around the world already on creatine for over 3 decades now. And I'm really excited to be able to bring it to all of you. So cool stuff. Hey, feel the burn of isogenics and get out and share it because you have something that the world needs. So thanks so much.
Oh, this was awesome, Dr. Paul. And yeah, you guys, these videos are phenomenal. They're absolutely incredible. You can use these in your toolbox. You can send them out to people. They're kind of like a podcast style video, which is really cool. And Dr. Paul absolutely crushed it. You guys, he is just the connoisseur of all things healthy. And how do you love that? Do you guys, I want to know, do you have your own 30-day experience and testimony? Does everyone on this call? I mean, if you don't and you're with Isogenics, I would challenge you to start one this month. Start one tomorrow. If you've never done a 30-day and you came in on different products, blow your own mind with a 30-day. Get your own numbers and your own results. And I would challenge you to take it one step further and look in your local area. You want to really blow your mind? This is something I would do. Look in your local area for an in-body scan. It's free. A lot of gyms have them. Different, nutrition health places will have them for free. You can usually walk in, you stand barefoot, you grab the electrodes, and what's really cool about it is it tells you more than just what the scale is going to tell you. It's going to tell you what Dr. Paul was hitting on, visceral fat, muscle mass. It's going to tell you the different trunk diameter. It'll go down to the cellular level of how much water you have in you. It'll tell you your body fat percentage. And I'll tell you that when I first started with Isogenics, as a guy that worked out for 4 years prior to starting Isogenics with a trainer every morning doing my thing, right? I'm just going along and I'm okay. I'm average. I'm not the best eater. I'm not the worst eater. I'm right in the middle, right? I get on a 30-day system and I'll tell you 11 days in, I blew my trainer's mind and I blew my own mind. What was interesting, and I tell you to get yourself on an in-body because my weight difference 11 days in was within zero point 0.1 pounds of the number, right? Now, if I had just stood on a scale, I'd have been like, oh man, that's real disappointing. Interestingly enough, scales sometimes will lie to you, and it was actually 5% less body fat and almost 5 pounds of muscle up in 11 days. Now, that's my own personal experience. Everyone's got their own, but I'm here to tell you guys, get your own testimony, right? Get on a 30-day if you don't have one and get your own testimony. Now, I want to end this with a fun little pop quiz. Okay, Dr. Paul gave us the 5 key areas for longevity that Isogenics helps with. I want to see the first person to put all 5 in the chat. I want to see what they were. Were you paying attention? Were you taking notes? I want to see it. Who's got the 5? I'll give you one of them. One of them was brain. Okay? We had brain. Who's got it? Who's gonna be the first one to get all 5 in the chat? Metabolic, heart, body. Okay, now it's starting to fly. Okay, Kathy. Kathy, I think you were the first one I saw that had it. Congratulations, way to go. Look at it. Everyone's coming in. You guys, great job taking notes. I love this. This is so fantastic. Isogenics has everything that you need for longevity to address those 5 areas: your heart, your metabolic, your body composition, the brain, and of course, on that cellular level. How incredible is that? Everything is right there in those 5 areas. So nice job taking notes, you guys. As Dr. Paul said, next week, we will be talking on functional targeted nutrition. So we'll be hitting a little bit more around some creatine again, talking a little bit around it as a whole, which is fantastic. And then here's the really cool thing, you guys. We've got a special going on right now. Now, listen, creatine is absolutely incredible on its own, but Isogenics want to make it even better. Not only did we launch a completely new product for our company, but we did it with this incredible special going on, you guys. And mind you, you only need to spend $60 in the US or 66 in Canada, and you're going to get free shipping as long as creatine's in there. Now, listen, Dr. Paul just showed you all the product lines and how you could use them, right? So grab whatever format's going to work best for you. Maybe you want to grab yourself a 30-day and throw a creatine in there, right? Make it a 30-day plus and get free shipping on it. You guys, this is such a great way to take advantage of this. And with the money you save on shipping, it's like you're getting the creatine for a smoking deal, right? For a brand new product to hit isogenics. It's absolutely going to change your business. It's going to change your health. And as part of a system, it's going to take isogenics to the next level. Dr. Paul, any final words as we say goodbye to all these fantastic isogenics peeps?
Oh gosh, I adore all of you, for sure. I mean, this is family. One of the things that I didn't stress, but I think we all live it, breathe it, and live by it is the community that Isogenics has. So yeah, let's continue to support each other, and be there for each other, and let's all live the burn of Isogenics when we're out there in the world, to help as many people as we can. And thanks for being here. I know. I don't take it for granted. I'm grateful that you all make the time. So thanks. And you especially, Ryan.
Hey, no problem. I love it. I appreciate you all. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Dr. Paul. He is a busy man. He is very smart. A lot of people want just a little piece of the information he shared with all of us, and he's given it to you guys for free on his own time. So thank you, Dr. Paul. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Take advantage, you guys, of that amazing deal. Free shipping. Get creatine in your hands. Get creatine in your customers' hands and your team's hands. Let's go. Everything we need to have a healthy, long life is right here at Isogenics. You heard it from Dr. Paul. Hope you all have a great night, everyone. Thank you again, Dr. Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Phenomenal call. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Dr. Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Paul.